Hello, I'm Toycat, and what exactly do you expect from the Caves and Cliffs Part 2 update? Probably brand new caves and probably new cliffs, and you'd be right on both of those things. However, when you ask most people about what's included beyond that, people get a bit confused. I mean, sure, there are new biomes on the mountains, there's new biomes in the caves, and there's definitely other things people would admit, but I think they're significantly less known about, and today I wanted to go through 5 features that honestly, I wouldn't expect to be included with the moniker of caves and cliffs, but there definitely are in this 1.18 update that I think you need to know about because there are significant improvements to Minecraft, and let's go through 5 of them today. By the way, after 1.18 has officially released, I do intend to be making a ton of videos, including speedrunning this version, which most people aren't doing, so make sure you subscribe with notifications turned on if you want to see more videos about the weird features inside this update. Speaking of weird features, did you know that there were temporarily these experimental snapshots where they tried some pretty wacky things? You might have heard about the Elytra nerf. It was probably the most famous of all of those. However, the Elytra nerf is not included in 1.18, and so you might assume that the lighting change is also not, but actually lighting is changing in 1.18 just like it did in the experimental snapshots, and honestly it's so huge that trying to just explain it won't do it justice, so allow me to show you the difference. Because if you're playing 1.17, aka the current/previous version of Minecraft, then the furthest a torch could light up, this torch right here, is this mossy stone brick block over here. As you can see, that is where the light level is about to hit 7, and so where mobs might be able to spawn, which is pretty crazy when you think about it, that this torch will only effectively light up as far as that block, and the only way to light up these blocks right here is with this second torch, meaning the most effective way to place torches is in a 6x6 grid pattern. It's slightly unaligned, but we'll ignore that for now. This is the best way to light up every single block in your world. However, if after this update you're playing, now the light level required for mobs to spawn is 0. If there is any amount of light on a block whatsoever, then they will not spawn there, which means that a torch which has a light level of 14 will light up 14 blocks in an individual direction, meaning that even this mossy stone brick right here is still technically lit up. I mean, it won't stop wandering traders from spawning in, but what will I tell you? Honestly, one of the best unexpected features of this update is the fact that no longer do you have to deal with the wandering trader and the randomness of his trades and like, oh, is he gonna give me moss blocks? No, he's not. You can find those in caves, but that's probably expected. You should know about that, it's very exciting. And also you should know that now you can use far fewer torches to light up a much greater area. For real, both of these torches will cover every single block between here and there, which is nuts. The amount of like gains we can have, and honestly, just the much more intuitive nature of Minecraft is something we can't underestimate, and I don't think you should. Speaking of things I don't think you should do, the new Pillager raid bar is now officially red on Bedrock like it is on Java. This is kind of a way to distinguish that it's a separate boss to like the Wither and the Ender Dragon, kind of confirming that it's not a full boss fight, it's more of a raid fight if you will. But yeah, now you can find there is a brand new raid boss bar. It's probably the most noticeable part of this, but there's 2 very interesting changes they've made to the pillagers themselves. First of all, when you find these guys roaming across your world, it's called a pillager patrol if you don't know, you can no longer find Vindicators roaming along with them. It's only pillagers with their pillager captain and the obvious bad omen effect. So fun fact, that is a very slight improvement that maybe you didn't know about, that was basically untrue on Bedrock anyway, but now you know about it. But also the other exciting change is that pillager towers, the place where these guys spawn and where you don't have to wait for them to just randomly jump into your world, these pillager towers can now generate in mountains as well, which means they can be significantly taller and they can add something new to the new landscape. In reality, in all of the betas we've seen and played so far, it's very rare to actually see this happen, and in reality, even before this update, even though they weren't meant to generate in mountains, they still kind of did anyway, so I'd say this is one of those like unexpected changes that you wouldn't notice or even know was a feature if I didn't tell you about it right now, but that's half of the fun, right? Speaking of things you wouldn't know about if I didn't tell you about them, I mean, you could argue that the whole point of unexpected changes is that you wouldn't know about them if you hadn't heard about them in a video, which is why you might be surprised to learn, if you didn't follow all the minutiae of the snapshots and of the betas, because for both Bedrock and Java, they are removing a significant number of biomes. You heard me correctly. Minecraft 1.18 is going to be removing 25 separate biomes from the game, which sounds like something you really should have heard about, right? I mean, it's a pretty wild thing to just remove 25 fully different biomes. However, that is the big headline feature, but but the reality is they're removing 25 sub-biomes from the game. So obviously, for example, there is the desert biome, which is what most people know, but if you're a technical player, or if you just want that achievement for going through 23 different biomes, then you might know that actually the desert is made up of desert hills and desert modified, and there's all these different types of desert that make up a desert. Same with, say, the Badlands, which everyone knows as the Mesa. The Mesa, or Badlands, has the plateau biomes, but also the modified plateaus, and basically a lot of these things that used to be sub-biomes are now no longer going to exist, and you cannot generate them in your new worlds, and if you had them in your old worlds, then the terrain will stay how it used to be, but the biome will be changing to something else. So to go through the entire list: Badlands Plateau, gone. Bamboo Jungle Hills, gone. Birch Forest Hills, Dark Forest Hills, Desert Lakes, Giant Spruce Tiger Hills, Giant Tree Tiger Hills, Gravelly Mountains Plus, Jungle Hills, Modified Badlands Plateau, Modified Jungle Edge, Modified Wooded Badlands Plateau, Mountain Edge, Mushroom Field Shore, Shattered Savannah Plateau, Snowy Mountain, Snowy Tiger Hills, Snowy Tiger Mountains, Swamp Hills, Tiger Mountains, Tall Birch Hills, and Wooded Hills. So in reality, this sounds like a really, really bad change to Minecraft, because removing biomes isn't good, right? But the reason that you might not have heard about this, and probably didn't care about this until you watched this video, is because of the fact that this is basically only a positive change. All of the things that could generate in there, for example, desert hills, will still now generate as part of the base desert biome, but it now won't be considered a separate little sub-biome. This means that when you look at 1.18 and 1.17 generations side by side, you'll notice some differences, but almost universally, it'll be better because it's not blending two biomes together, it's blending one part of a biome with another part. And so the reason that this is even worth talking about, I mean, it's one of those changes where, like, if they remove the diamond sword but then add a diamond sword to the game and it's spelled exactly the same and does the same things, is that really a change? You could argue no. But the reason this is a change, and actually a positive one, is because now that this means that, unlike previously, say the desert hills could not spawn a desert temple. It's officially called a desert pyramid, but I hate you if you call it that. The Tiger Mountain, for example, couldn't spawn in villages or outposts, but now that it's all just one tiger biome, or a few tiger biomes, but significantly fewer, all of those can spawn in villages and outposts. Effectively, what this means is 1.18 will have slightly higher village and desert, pyramid generation, slightly higher outpost generation if you're in a snowy taiga, slightly higher igloo generation, and then also, the coolest thing is that swamps, after they fix a pretty major bug that means that swamp huts basically don't generate almost anywhere they're meant to, which still hasn't been fixed in the latest beta, so they might be fixing it with 1.18.1 rather than the major update, but still, at some point, swamp huts, also known as witches' huts, also known as the Swamp Temple, it will be able to generate in much higher quantities, which is pretty cool if you ask me. Speaking of things that are cool if you ask me, I'd love to talk about igloos and, the frozen generation, but sadly, that's not the real feature here. The real feature here is that glow lichens are no longer going to generate at the bottom of an ocean. This is something that I thought was like the weirdest thematic change, but it was officially a bug. MCPE 125,198, thank you for asking. But also, glow lichens will no longer generate above ground, that is MCPE 141,412. That's right, there's over 100,000 bugs that have been logged, and, a significant number of those have been fixed for Bedrock, but still, this is bug number 141,412, which is kind of nuts by itself. But the bigger thing is that no longer will you find glow lichen in the overworld in places you shouldn't. The reason I'm so enthused about this, and that you should be, even though it's an unexpected feature, that again, it's technically a bug fix, but it feels like a feature to me, and this is my video, so I'll talk about whatever I want. The reason I'm so excited is because when you're speedrunning, it turns to night, and the only way you can spot a lava pit is because you'll see a light source. Obviously, you can also find things like villages, but villages are pretty clear and different to a single light block that could be lava or maybe couldn't be. It's going to be a great improvement to know that when I see light, it is probably going to be a lava pit rather than me having to think, oh, got tricked by this again. And knowing that it's a bug makes me feel more justified about my rage towards the glow lichen. By the way, do you mind if I take 45 seconds of this video to do Toycat's hate corner? Okay, let's do it. So, glow lichens are one of those blocks that sounded like such a great idea when it was first announced. I love the idea of lighting up these caves because they're so huge, it's hard to light them naturally. However, the reality of what we got is that glow lichen looks so much like diamonds from a distance because you're like, oh, it's glowy and it's blue, and that is annoying first of all because now you don't know when it's diamonds and when it's just the annoying glowy blue stuff. And the other problem is even if you can't see the glow lichen directly, you see some light around you in a cave and you're like, ooh, this could be some lava. That's what we've been conditioned to think. Lava is a cool thing. You need to make obsidian, and obsidian is a useful block and essential block, I would say, being Minecraft. And you just don't know when you're finding lava. You don't know when you're finding diamonds. I hate glow lichen and I wish they'd done something else, and that's the reason I still haven't done my dumb farming ideas. Anyway, that's Hate Corner over. Hope you all enjoyed it. So what's the final unexpected change? This is actually a big downside for everyone besides Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 users. So with that's a very weird caveat to have, and honestly, it's not often we get to say, here's a cool thing only for console players. Usually someone at Mojang goes, wait, we make Minecraft on consoles? What the heck? Why are we doing this? And then they lower the render distance on the Switch in a few chunks. But yeah, the exciting thing for current gen console owners is that your render distance will be made higher. The unexciting news for everyone on every other platform ever is that your render distance will be made significantly lower, and the reason for this is that Caves and Cliffs is adding so much new terrain. The terrain itself will generate double as high, and the usable world height is going from 256 blocks to 372, aka a 50% increase in how many blocks Minecraft is loading per chunk, and this means that the performance and the number of chunks Minecraft can load is going down quite a bit. And this is something that they have fixed as much as they could by optimizing and this and that. However, in reality, if you're playing Minecraft on, say, a phone, you can expect your render distance will be lowered. There's actually a brand new pop-up screen about it that uses the new Minecraft UI. So I mean, it's not all so bad because there's a sweet new menu screen to come along with this, but your max render distance, if you're playing on a device where you don't get to control it yourself, i.e. PC, is probably going to be cut by somewhere between 25 to 50%. And that is something that honestly makes some sense, and you can keep it at your current settings if you just ignore the prompts, and like, is that a good idea in the long run? Probably not for frame rates, but yeah, basically Minecraft is now a bigger, more fleshed out game, and it makes sense that they're doing this. It sounds like a really bad thing, like, wait, they're lowering render distance and you're gonna defend this? Yes, actually, Minecraft is so scared of making changes to the Bedrock edition of the game because they're like, oh, this will make some number of devices run it a little bit harder, but in reality, if we want the best Minecraft, especially for people playing on not 6-year-old iPads and not deciding to play on an Android phone from 2005 or whatever it is. I don't think Android existed then, but you know, it's hyperbole. I'm exaggerating for effect. And yeah, so basically, I actually do think that, like, although having too many of these changes is bad, obviously they shouldn't be going faster than technology itself is improving. I don't think it's reasonable to say, yeah, if you could play Minecraft Pocket Edition when it launched in 2011, you should still be able to play now. Every now and then, there are going to be devices that, like, are going to struggle with updates, and as long as they don't physically stop you getting that update, they just say, yeah, performance might slow, I think that is something that's fine. Maybe I'm in a minority of that one. Maybe you want to play Minecraft on your iPhone 5 and you think I'm stepping on your rights. That's just my opinion, of course. Obviously, I think the converse argument could be made that, like, Minecraft's this beautiful game, you should be able to play forever. But the thing is, unlike when they discontinued certain editions of the game, you still can totally play. It's just going to give you either a lower render distance or don't download the update if render distance is your #1 priority. But yes, they are changing render distance defaults, and it's going down for everyone besides people on Xbox Series X. And honestly, isn't it depressing? The Xbox Series X, according to responses to my tweet, is currently at 28 render distance. If you were considering buying a current gen console and one of the games that you're playing most heavily is Minecraft, it's like, you can wait on that. You'll be fine, I think. Anyway, speaking of things you're going to be fine with, this is the end of the video, and I hope you're fine with that because, you know, it's not like it's going to not end because you asked me to. And so as a result, I hope you enjoyed it. Please consider subscribing if you enjoyed this dive into some of the features you might not have known about. And also like it, or, you know, now that there's no dislikes to balance out, why does anyone care about likes? Everyone says that it boosts engagement and the algorithm or whatever. I've seen zero proof of that ever. It's just one of those things people say. It's like, ooh, did you know that if you say Bloody Mirror into a mirror, wait, Bloody Mary into a mirror 3 times, then Freddy Krueger comes out and gets you? It's just as useful as that. It's just people saying words, right? I mean, it's like saying that if you eat enough bananas, you can die because they are radioactive. But like, are you going to die? Is that going to be the thing that kills you? I mean, there's the tiniest bit of science to it, but no one's ever backed it up with anything besides that, because there isn't anything to back it up. And speaking of things there's nothing to back up, I hope you all enjoyed this video, because I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.